Welcome to Transforming Thoughts, Cognitive Strategies for Empowered Self-Management. In this ebook, we explore how attention, intention, and awareness can transform the way you respond to life's challenges, helping you to manage emotions, regulate behavior, and create meaningful change. We begin with the foundation of self-management, understanding emotional regulation, the role of mindfulness, and an overview of cognitive behavioral techniques. Next, we dive into mindfulness and meditation practices, including practical techniques for living mindfully and meditation exercises designed to support emotional regulation. From there, we explore cognitive behavioral strategies, learning to identify negative thought patterns, restructure thoughts for positive outcomes, and apply these techniques in everyday life. We also examine emotional intelligence in the workplace, discovering why empathy, communication skills, and relationship strategies are essential for professional growth. For parents, we address the unique challenges of parental stress, providing effective coping strategies and guidance for creating a supportive environment for both yourself and your children. We then explore journaling for emotional processing, uncovering the benefits of writing, techniques for self-reflection, and using journaling as a tool for growth. Art therapy and emotional expression are next, learning how creative practices can help process emotions, techniques for self-expression, and ways to integrate art into your daily life. Technology also plays a role, with digital tools and apps designed to enhance self-management guidance for selecting the right tools and strategies for using technology intentionally. We'll also cover resilience training for teens and young adults, exploring the importance of resilience, building coping skills, and discovering programs and resources to support growth. Emotional regulation in relationships is another focus, examining communication, strategies for managing emotions, navigating conflict, and strengthening connection. Finally, we guide you through visualization and relaxation techniques, exploring the science behind these practices and practical ways to incorporate them into your daily life. Throughout, you will find a step-by-step guide to emotional regulation and self-management, providing actionable tools, reflection prompts, and strategies to help you transform thoughts into empowered action. Welcome to your journey of self-awareness, growth, and lasting change. There is a quiet moment that arrives in nearly every life, often unnoticed at first. It may appear in the stillness after a difficult conversation, in the space between one breath and the next, or in the gentle question that rises when a familiar pattern no longer feels sustainable. Is there another way to meet this moment? This ebook was born from that question. It is written for people who sense that their inner world holds more influence over their daily experience than they were ever taught to recognize, and who are ready to explore that influence with curiosity, compassion, and intention. Self-management is often framed as a matter of discipline, productivity, or control. Yet beneath those surface ideas lives something far more human: the relationship between thoughts, emotions, and choice. Every reaction, every habit, and every quiet decision made in private shapes how life unfolds in public. To manage the self in this more profound sense is not to suppress emotion or force positivity, but to learn to listen, interpret, and respond with greater clarity and care. This introduction serves as an invitation into a journey of understanding how the mind can become an ally rather than an adversary. Across these chapters, the focus remains on a transformation that feels grounded, practical, and deeply personal. The goal is not perfection. It is present. It is the steady cultivation of awareness that allows people to meet their lives with greater steadiness, resilience, and authenticity. At the heart of this work is a simple truth: thoughts are not merely passing events. They are architects. They shape perception, guide emotion, and quietly influence behavior long before action becomes visible. Learning to recognize, question, and reshape these internal narratives opens the door to meaningful self-management, one that extends beyond short-term coping and into long-term growth. This book weaves together cognitive strategies, emotional awareness, and reflective practices to form a holistic approach to self-leadership. It does not ask readers to become someone new. Instead, it offers tools to reconnect with what is already present, the capacity to choose responses, to soften in moments of tension, and to act in alignment with values rather than impulses. The chapters that follow explore these themes across a wide range of life contexts. From the inner stillness of mindfulness and meditation to the dynamic complexity of relationships and workplaces, from the creative release of journaling and art to the modern support of digital tools, each section offers a different doorway into the same essential space: a more conscious relationship with the self. Before stepping into those practical pathways, it is worth pausing to reflect on what emotional regulation and self-management truly represent. Emotional regulation is not the absence of feeling. It is the skill of staying present with feeling without becoming overwhelmed by it. It is the ability to recognize an emotional wave as it rises, understand what it is communicating, and decide how to move with it rather than be carried away by it. In daily life, this skill often appears in subtle ways. It shows up in the pause taken before responding in a tense conversation. It lives in the decision to step away from a screen and take a breath when stress begins to tighten the body. It reveals itself in the choice to reframe a self-critical thought into a more supportive and realistic one. These small, almost invisible moments accumulate. Over time, they form the foundation of a life that feels more intentional and less reactive. Mindfulness, which plays a central role throughout this book, is the practice of bringing gentle attention to what is happening in the present moment, internally and externally, without immediate judgment. It is not a technique reserved for quiet rooms or extended meditation sessions alone. It is a way of moving through ordinary moments with awareness, noticing the texture of a breath, the tone of a thought, or the emotional undercurrent of a situation. When mindfulness becomes part of daily living, it creates space. In that space, choice becomes possible. Instead of moving directly from stimulus to reaction, there is a brief window where understanding can arise. That window, however small it may seem, is where self-management begins to take root. Cognitive behavioral strategies build upon this awareness by offering practical ways to work with the content of the mind itself. Thoughts are often treated as facts, especially when they carry strong emotional weight. Yet many of the beliefs that shape experience are interpretations rather than objective truths. Learning to identify patterns of negative thinking, challenge assumptions, and restructure internal dialogue can shift emotional responses in powerful and lasting ways. This process does not require rejecting difficult emotions. On the contrary, it invites a more honest engagement with them. By understanding how thoughts and emotions interact, people can begin to respond to internal experiences with the same patience and empathy they might offer to a close friend. The scope of this book extends beyond the individual alone. Emotional intelligence, particularly in professional and relational settings, is explored as a natural extension of self-awareness. The way people manage their own emotional landscape directly influences how they communicate, collaborate, and connect with others. In the workplace, this can mean the difference between environments that feel tense and those that feel supportive. In personal relationships, it can shape whether conflict becomes a source of growth or a cycle of misunderstanding. Parenthood, adolescence, and young adulthood are also recognized as unique emotional landscapes, each with its own challenges and opportunities for self-management. Stress, uncertainty, and emotional intensity often accompany these stages of life. Rather than framing these experiences as obstacles to be overcome, this book approaches them as invitations to develop resilience, compassion, and adaptive coping skills. Creative practices, such as journaling and art therapy, offer additional pathways into emotional processing. Not every experience can be easily translated into words or structured thoughts. Sometimes, expression requires a different language altogether. Writing, drawing, and creating provide space for emotions to move, shift, and transform in ways that conversation alone may not allow. In a world increasingly shaped by technology, digital tools and applications are also considered as potential allies in the journey of self-management. When used thoughtfully, these resources can support mindfulness, habit formation, and emotional awareness. The intention is not to replace human connection or inner reflection, but to enhance them with accessible modern support. Throughout this introduction, one theme remains consistent. Empowered self-management is not about controlling life. It is about relating to life with greater understanding and care. It is the practice of becoming an attentive participant in one's own experience rather than a passive observer or a constant critic. The structure of this book reflects that philosophy. Each chapter is designed to build upon the last, moving from foundational concepts into increasingly applied and contextual practices. The journey begins with understanding the basic principles of emotional regulation and mindfulness. It then expands into cognitive strategies, relational intelligence, creative expression, and practical tools that can be integrated into daily routines. Yet the true work does not happen on these pages alone. It unfolds in the moments between reading, in the way a breath is taken during a stressful afternoon, in the way a thought is gently questioned rather than accepted at face value, in the way a conversation is approached with curiosity instead of defensiveness. This book does not ask readers to adopt a rigid system or follow a prescribed path. Instead, it offers a collection of perspectives and practices that can be adapted to individual lives, values, and circumstances. What resonates deeply for one person may feel less relevant to another. That diversity of response is not only expected, it is welcomed. Self-management, in its most meaningful form, is an ongoing relationship rather than a destination. There will be days when clarity feels effortless and days when old patterns resurface without warning. Progress is not measured by the absence of struggle, but by the presence of awareness within it. As the chapters unfold, readers are encouraged to approach each topic with a spirit of exploration rather than evaluation. There is no standard to meet, no timeline to follow. The only consistent invitation is to notice, to observe thoughts, emotions, and behaviors with a little more gentleness and a little less urgency to fix. In doing so, something subtle yet profound often begins to shift. The inner dialogue softens. Reactions slow. Choices feel more aligned with values rather than driven by habit or fear. Over time, these small changes can reshape how life is experienced from the inside out. The title of this book, Transforming Thoughts, reflects this central premise. Transformation does not require dramatic upheaval or radical reinvention. It often begins with a single moment of recognition, a realization that a thought can be questioned, an emotion can be held with care, and a response can be chosen with intention. This introduction is not meant to provide all the answers. It is intended to open a conversation, one that continues through each chapter and, ideally, beyond the final page. The hope is that the ideas and practices explored here will serve as companions in daily life, offering support during moments of stress, reflection during times of transition, and grounding during periods of uncertainty. As this journey begins, it may be helpful to carry a straightforward perspective. Growth does not happen in isolation from life's challenges. It happens through them. Every complex emotion, every recurring thought pattern, and every moment of tension holds the potential to become a teacher rather than an enemy. With that understanding, the chapters ahead invite readers into a deeper relationship with their own minds, emotions, and choices. They offer not a promise of a life without difficulty, but the possibility of meeting difficulty with greater steadiness, insight, and self-trust. This is where empowered self-management truly begins, not in the absence of struggle, but in the presence of awareness. The pages that follow explore what becomes possible when attention, compassion, and intention come together in the ongoing practice of transforming thoughts into pathways for growth. Here, we will uncover how small, deliberate choices ripple outward, shaping not just our days, but the very way we experience ourselves in the world. You will be invited to notice the subtle currents of emotion, the patterns that quietly guide behavior, and the moments when pause can open doors to insight. Through reflection, guidance, and practical strategies, this journey illuminates the connection between self-awareness and meaningful action, reminding us that mastery over our inner world is not a destination, but a lifelong, evolving practice. Chapter 1: The Foundation of Self-Management. Understanding emotional regulation. Emotional regulation is a core skill within self-management, shaping how individuals experience, interpret, and respond to their internal emotional states and external circumstances. At its foundation, emotional regulation refers to the ability to recognize emotions as they arise, understand their source, and influence how they are expressed and acted upon. Rather than suppressing feelings or allowing them to dictate behavior, effective regulation creates a balanced middle ground where emotions inform decisions without overpowering them. For independent-minded individuals, emotional regulation can present a unique challenge. A strong sense of autonomy often comes with high personal standards and a deep investment in outcomes, which can intensify emotional reactions in moments of stress, conflict, or perceived failure. In high-pressure environments, such as the workplace, family dynamics, or personal goal setting, this intensity may lead to impulsive responses, withdrawal, or emotional exhaustion. Understanding the internal mechanisms behind these reactions empowers individuals to shift from automatic patterns to intentional, thoughtful responses. At a neurological level, emotional regulation involves the interaction between the brain's emotional centers and its reasoning systems. When an emotional trigger occurs, the brain's threat response system can activate quickly, preparing the body for action. Without regulation, this process may bypass reflective thinking, resulting in reactive behavior. Learning to pause, breathe, and assess a situation allows the brain's higher-order thinking processes to re-engage, creating space for clarity, perspective, and choice. This physiological awareness helps individuals develop a sense of control over their emotional landscape rather than feeling governed by it. Mindfulness and meditation practices serve as foundational tools in strengthening this process. Mindfulness trains individuals to observe their thoughts and emotions as experiences rather than as absolute truths. By noticing emotional patterns such as recurring frustration, anxiety, or self-criticism, individuals can begin to identify the specific triggers and beliefs that shape their reactions. Over time, this awareness transforms emotional responses from automatic habits into conscious decisions. A simple daily mindfulness framework can support this growth. Notice, identify what you are feeling in the moment without labeling it as good or bad. Put language to the emotion, such as I feel tense or I feel discouraged. Normalize. Acknowledge that emotions are natural responses to experiences. Navigate. Choose a response that aligns with your values and long-term goals. This structure provides a practical pathway for individuals to move from emotional awareness to intentional action. Cognitive behavioral strategies further expand emotional regulation by addressing the role of thought patterns. Thoughts often act as the bridge between events and emotional reactions. For example, a critical comment at work may trigger feelings of inadequacy not solely because of the comment itself, but because of an internal interpretation such as, I'm not good enough. By learning to recognize and challenge these automatic interpretations, individuals can replace them with balanced, constructive perspectives. This shift strengthens emotional resilience and improves problem solving, communication, and collaboration in both professional and personal settings. Journaling offers a structured method for deepening the self-awareness. Through written reflection, individuals can track emotional patterns, identify recurring stressors, and evaluate how their responses align with their intentions. A practical journaling approach includes 3 guiding prompts. What happened? Describe the situation objectively. What did I feel and think? Explore the emotional and mental response. What can I learn? Identify alternative responses or insights for future situations. This process transforms daily experiences into learning opportunities, reinforcing emotional growth and self-management skills over time. Incorporating digital tools and applications can further strengthen emotional regulation practices. Many platforms now offer guided breathing exercises, emotional tracking features, and structured relaxation techniques. These tools help individuals build consistency by providing reminders, progress tracking, and personalized strategies for managing anxiety, stress, and emotional fatigue. When used intentionally, technology becomes a supportive extension of self-care rather than a distraction from it. Ultimately, emotional regulation is not a single skill, but a developing system of awareness, reflection, and action. As individuals refine this system, they often experience improved relationships, greater confidence in decision-making, and a stronger sense of emotional balance. This foundation supports not only personal well-being, but also leadership, collaboration, and long-term self-development. The role of mindfulness in self-management. Mindfulness plays a central role in self-management by strengthening the connection between awareness and behavior. At its core, mindfulness is the practice of maintaining focused attention on the present moment, including one's thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. This form of awareness creates a mental pause that allows individuals to step back from automatic reactions and engage with their experiences more deliberately. For independent-minded individuals, this pause can be transformative. When emotional triggers arise, such as criticism, unexpected change, or personal setbacks, mindfulness provides the mental space needed to observe the reaction without immediately acting on it. This shift from reaction to reflection promotes emotional regulation and supports clearer communication, more thoughtful decision-making, and healthier interpersonal dynamics. In daily life, mindfulness can be integrated through brief, structured practices. Mindful breathing, for example, anchors attention to the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation, helping to calm the nervous system and reduce mental noise. Body awareness exercises encourage individuals to notice physical tension or discomfort, which often signals underlying emotional stress. These simple techniques, practiced consistently, build emotional stability and mental clarity over time. For parents and caregivers, mindfulness offers practical benefits in managing high-demand situations. Pausing to take a few conscious breaths before responding to a child's behavior can shift the tone of an interaction from reactive to supportive. This approach not only improves emotional outcomes but also models healthy regulation strategies for others, reinforcing a culture of understanding and emotional awareness within the family or community. When combined with cognitive behavioral strategies, mindfulness becomes even more effective. Awareness highlights the presence of negative or limiting thoughts, while cognitive techniques provide the tools to evaluate and reshape them. This integration supports the full cycle of emotional regulation, noticing emotional responses, understanding their cognitive roots, and choosing more adaptive interpretations and behaviors. Journaling strengthens this cycle by turning internal awareness into tangible insight. Writing after a mindfulness session allows individuals to capture observations about their emotional states, recurring thought patterns, and progress over time. This practice bridges the gap between reflection and action, transforming personal awareness into structured self-improvement. Digital mindfulness platforms and applications can further enhance consistency. Features such as guided meditations, daily reminders, and emotional check-ins make it easier to maintain a regular practice, even within demanding schedules. These tools provide immediate support during moments of stress and reinforce long-term habits of self-awareness and emotional balance. Mindfulness, when practiced as a long-term discipline rather than a short-term technique, becomes a guiding principle for self-management. It fosters emotional intelligence, strengthens stress resilience, and supports more authentic, grounded relationships. Over time, individuals who commit to this approach often experience a deeper sense of control over their emotional experiences and a greater alignment between their actions and their values. Overview of cognitive behavioral techniques. Cognitive behavioral techniques form a structured and evidence-based approach to emotional regulation and self-management. These methods are built on the understanding that thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are interconnected. By adjusting one component of this system, particularly thought patterns, individuals can influence emotional responses and behavioral outcomes in meaningful ways. The central principle of this approach is the identification of automatic thoughts. These are rapid, often unconscious interpretations that occur in response to everyday events. While some automatic thoughts are neutral or helpful, others may be overly negative, rigid, or distorted. For example, a single mistake might trigger a belief such as, "I always fail," leading to discouragement or withdrawal. Cognitive behavioral techniques encourage individuals to examine these interpretations, assess their accuracy, and replace them with more balanced perspectives. This process can be guided through a simple three-step framework. Identify. Notice the thought that follows an emotional reaction. Evaluate. Ask whether the thought is supported by evidence or influenced by assumption. Reframe. Develop a more realistic and constructive interpretation. Through repeated practice, this framework strengthens emotional resilience and promotes healthier decision-making. Mindfulness and meditation enhance these techniques by increasing awareness of when negative thought patterns arise. Rather than becoming absorbed in these thoughts, individuals learn to observe them as mental events that can be questioned and reshaped. This combination of awareness and analysis creates a powerful tool for managing anxiety, frustration, and emotional overwhelm. Journaling provides a structured environment for applying cognitive behavioral principles. By documenting situations, emotional reactions, and associated thoughts, individuals can uncover recurring themes and behavioral patterns. This written record supports long-term growth by making progress visible, highlighting areas that may benefit from additional attention or support. Creative approaches, such as expressive or art-based activities, offer alternative pathways for emotional processing. These methods allow individuals to explore emotions that may be difficult to articulate verbally, promoting self-understanding through visual or symbolic expression. This can be particularly effective for those who respond more strongly to experiential learning than to traditional reflection techniques. Modern digital tools extend the accessibility of cognitive behavioral practices. Many platforms provide guided exercises, mood tracking, and structured prompts that reinforce emotional awareness and self-regulation. These resources enable individuals to engage in consistent self-management practices regardless of time constraints or external pressures. Together, these techniques create a comprehensive system for emotional development. By learning to recognize thought patterns, regulate emotional responses, and choose intentional behaviors, individuals build a foundation for long-term resilience, effective communication, and sustained personal and professional growth. Chapter 2: Mindfulness and Meditation Practices. Introduction to Mindfulness. Mindfulness is a practice rooted in ancient contemplative traditions and supported by modern psychological research as a powerful method for strengthening emotional regulation and self-management. At its core, mindfulness is the intentional act of paying attention to present moment experiences, thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations without judgment or immediate interpretation. This form of attention develops emotional intelligence by helping individuals recognize what they are experiencing internally before deciding how to respond externally. Rather than attempting to control or eliminate emotions, mindfulness teaches individuals to relate to them differently. Emotions are treated as passing experiences rather than fixed identities or permanent states. This shift in perspective allows individuals to step out of automatic emotional cycles, such as frustration leading to withdrawal or anxiety leading to avoidance, and replace them with conscious, values-based responses. In practical terms, mindfulness strengthens the ability to pause between a stimulus and a response. That pause creates space for clarity, choice, and intentional communication. In relationships, this can reduce misunderstandings and reactive conflict. In professional environments, it supports thoughtful decision-making, improved focus, and emotional composure under pressure. For parents and caregivers, mindfulness can transform moments of stress into opportunities for connection, modeling emotional regulation for children and creating a more supportive emotional climate. Mindfulness also enhances awareness of emotional patterns over time. By consistently observing internal reactions, individuals begin to recognize recurring triggers, such as feelings of being dismissed, overwhelmed, or underappreciated. This awareness makes it possible to address the underlying beliefs and expectations that shape emotional responses, leading to long-term improvements in emotional stability and self-understanding. The integration of technology has made mindfulness practices more accessible than ever. Guided sessions, emotional tracking tools, and structured reminders allow individuals to engage with mindfulness in short, manageable intervals throughout the day. When used intentionally, these tools reinforce consistency and help transform mindfulness from an occasional activity into a daily habit of awareness and reflection. Mindfulness can also be expressed through creative and experiential practices. Activities such as drawing, movement, or music-based reflection allow individuals to engage with the present moment in nonverbal ways. These approaches are particularly valuable for those who process emotions more effectively through sensory or expressive experiences rather than verbal analysis alone. Ultimately, mindfulness is not a technique to be mastered, but a mindset to be cultivated. It invites individuals to approach their inner experiences with curiosity rather than criticism, creating a foundation for emotional resilience, self-compassion, and intentional living. Techniques for mindful living. Mindful living involves weaving awareness into ordinary moments, transforming daily routines into opportunities for emotional regulation and self-management. Rather than reserving mindfulness for formal meditation sessions, this approach encourages individuals to engage fully with everyday experiences, such as eating, walking, listening, and speaking. One foundational technique is focused attention, which involves directing awareness toward a single sensory experience, such as the sensation of breathing or the feeling of the ground beneath the feet while walking. This practice stabilizes attention and reduces mental distraction, helping individuals return to the present moment when stress or emotional intensity arises. Another technique is emotional check-ins, which can be practiced at scheduled times throughout the day. This involves briefly asking 3 questions. What am I feeling right now? What might be contributing to this feeling? What response would best support my well-being and goals? This process encourages intentional decision-making and helps individuals develop a habit of emotional awareness before emotions escalate into reactive behavior. Mindful communication is an essential aspect of self-management. This practice emphasizes listening without preparing a response while the other person is speaking. By focusing fully on the speaker's words, tone, and body language, individuals reduce misunderstandings and respond more thoughtfully. This technique is particularly effective in conflict resolution and in building trust within personal and professional relationships. Journaling can extend mindful living by turning internal awareness into structured reflection. Writing about daily experiences allows individuals to explore how their thoughts, emotions, and actions are connected. A simple reflective format includes describing a situation, noting the emotional response, and identifying one alternative way the situation could be approached in the future. Over time, This practice builds emotional insight and reinforces adaptive patterns of behavior. Creative expression offers another pathway for mindful engagement. Activities such as painting, writing, or movement-based practices encourage individuals to focus attention on the process rather than the outcome. This emphasis on presence helps reduce self-judgment and promotes emotional release, making creativity a valuable tool for emotional regulation. Digital platforms can support mindful living by providing structured prompts, guided practices, and reminders that encourage consistency. When integrated thoughtfully, these tools help individuals maintain awareness throughout the day, reinforcing emotional balance and resilience in demanding environments. Meditation practices for emotional regulation. Meditation is a structured method for strengthening emotional regulation by training attention and awareness. Through regular practice, individuals learn to observe thoughts and emotions as they arise, without becoming immediately absorbed by them. This observational stance reduces emotional reactivity and increases the ability to respond with intention and clarity. One widely used approach is breath-centered meditation, which focuses attention on the natural rhythm of breathing. This technique calms the nervous system and provides a reliable anchor during moments of stress or emotional intensity. Over time, individuals develop a greater sense of internal stability, even in challenging circumstances. Body scan meditation offers another method for emotional awareness. This practice involves systematically directing attention to different areas of the body, noticing sensations such as tension, warmth, or discomfort. Because emotional stress often manifests physically, this technique helps individuals recognize and release emotional strain before it escalates into mental or behavioral reactions. Guided visualization supports emotional regulation by engaging the imagination in creating calming or empowering mental imagery. Visualizing safe, peaceful, or successful scenarios can reduce anxiety and prepare individuals for emotionally demanding situations, such as difficult conversations or high-pressure tasks. For parents, caregivers, and individuals in leadership roles, brief meditation practices can be integrated into daily transitions, such as before entering the home or starting a meeting. These moments of intentional pause support emotional presence and reduce the likelihood of transferring stress from one environment to another. Journaling and expressive practices can deepen the impact of meditation by capturing insights that arise during stillness. Writing or creative expression after a session helps translate internal awareness into practical understanding, reinforcing emotional learning and long-term self-management. Digital meditation resources expand access to these practices by offering sessions tailored to specific emotional needs, such as anxiety reduction, focus enhancement, or emotional resilience. These tools allow individuals to adapt their meditation routines to changing life demands while maintaining consistency. When practiced regularly, meditation becomes more than a stress relief technique. It evolves into a training ground for emotional intelligence. Individuals develop the capacity to remain present during emotional challenges, communicate with greater clarity, and navigate personal and professional relationships with steadiness and intention. Chapter 3: Cognitive Behavioral Strategies. Identifying negative thought patterns. Negative thought patterns often operate quietly in the background of daily life, shaping emotional responses and behavior without conscious awareness. These patterns are commonly referred to as cognitive distortions, habitual ways of interpreting experiences that are overly negative, rigid, or inaccurate. Examples include all-or-nothing thinking, where situations are viewed as complete successes or total failures, and catastrophizing, where minor challenges are interpreted as major threats or permanent setbacks. The first step in emotional regulation through cognitive behavioral strategies is learning to recognize these distortions as mental habits rather than objective truths. This distinction allows individuals to step out of automatic self-judgment and into a position of observation. Instead of asking, "Why am I like this?" individuals are encouraged to ask, "What thought just passed through my mind and what triggered it?" Mindfulness supports this process by creating awareness of the moment when a negative thought arises. By noticing physical cues such as muscle tension, shallow breathing, or a sudden emotional shift, individuals can identify the presence of an underlying thought pattern before it escalates into a strong emotional reaction. This awareness transforms emotional regulation into an active process rather than a reactive one. Journaling provides a structured way to track and analyze these patterns over time. A simple method involves recording three elements: the situation, the automatic thought, and the emotional response. Over days or weeks, This written record reveals recurring themes, such as sensitivity to criticism or fear of disappointing others. Recognizing these themes allows individuals to address the deeper beliefs that sustain negative thinking. Emotional intelligence plays a critical role in this stage. By understanding how internal dialogue influences emotional states, individuals become more capable of expressing their feelings clearly and constructively. This skill improves communication in both personal and professional relationships, reducing misunderstandings and strengthening mutual respect. Identifying negative thought patterns is not about eliminating difficult emotions. Instead, it is about creating a mental framework that allows individuals to engage with their inner experiences thoughtfully, laying the foundation for meaningful and lasting change. Restructuring thoughts for positive outcomes. Once negative thought patterns are identified, the next step is restructuring them in ways that support emotional balance and effective self-management. This process does not involve replacing negative thoughts with overly positive statements, but rather developing interpretations that are realistic, flexible, and grounded in evidence. A practical restructuring framework includes three stages. Examine the thought. Ask what evidence supports or contradicts the thought. Consider alternatives. Identify at least one other possible interpretation of the situation. Select a balanced response. Choose a perspective that reflects both the challenges and the strengths present. For example, a thought such as "I failed, so I am not capable" can be restructured into "this attempt did not go as planned, but it shows me where I can improve." This shift maintains accountability while removing the emotional weight of self-judgment. Mindfulness enhances this process by slowing down the mental pace at which thoughts occur. When individuals practice observing their thoughts during meditation or daily activities, they become more aware of the moment when a negative interpretation takes hold. This awareness creates the opportunity to intervene and apply restructuring techniques before emotions escalate. In communication and professional environments, restructured thinking supports emotional intelligence. Interpreting feedback as information rather than personal criticism, for instance, allows individuals to engage in problem-solving rather than defensiveness. This mindset fosters collaboration, clarity, and mutual understanding. For parents and caregivers, thought restructuring plays a powerful role in stress management. Reframing moments of frustration as signals of fatigue or unmet needs, rather than personal failure, encourages compassion toward both oneself and others. This approach models healthy emotional processing for children and reinforces a family culture of emotional awareness and adaptability. Digital tools can support this practice by offering guided exercises, daily prompts, and interactive thought records. These features make cognitive restructuring more accessible and help individuals maintain consistency as they build new mental habits. Restructuring thoughts is a skill developed through repetition. Over time, balanced thinking becomes more automatic, reducing emotional volatility and strengthening resilience across life's challenges. Practical applications of cognitive behavioral techniques. Cognitive behavioral strategies become most effective when they are applied consistently in real-world contexts. Rather than remaining abstract concepts, these techniques can be integrated into daily routines, professional responsibilities, and personal relationships. In workplace settings, one practical application involves using brief reflection periods after challenging interactions. Individuals can take a moment to identify the triggering event, note their initial thought, and apply restructuring techniques to determine a more productive response. This practice supports emotional regulation, reduces conflict, and improves communication outcomes. Mindfulness and cognitive behavioral techniques work together in stress management. Short, intentional pauses throughout the day, such as a minute of focused breathing before a meeting, help stabilize emotional responses and prepare the mind for clear decision-making. These micro-practices reinforce emotional awareness and prevent stress from accumulating unnoticed. Journaling serves as an ongoing self-management tool by capturing emotional patterns and cognitive shifts over time. By reviewing past entries, individuals can observe their progress, recognize improvements in emotional regulation, and identify areas that still require attention. This long-term perspective reinforces motivation and accountability. Creative and expressive methods, including drawing, movement, or music-based activities, provide alternative avenues for applying cognitive behavioral principles. These practices allow individuals to process emotion symbolically, offering insight into feelings that may not yet be fully articulated in words. For teens and young adults, resilience training through cognitive behavioral strategies builds essential life skills. Learning to recognize and challenge negative thinking patterns equips them to handle academic pressure, social challenges, and personal setbacks with greater confidence and adaptability. These skills strengthen emotional independence while promoting healthy connections with peers and mentors. Digital platforms extend the reach of these techniques by offering structured programs, emotional tracking, and personalized feedback. When integrated into daily routines, these tools support sustained practice and reinforce the development of emotional intelligence. Through consistent application, cognitive behavioral strategies evolve from isolated exercises into a comprehensive self-management system. This system empowers individuals to navigate emotional challenges, communicate with clarity, and approach personal and professional growth with confidence and intention. Chapter 4: Developing Emotional Intelligence in the Workplace. The importance of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, EI, is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions, both one's own and those of others, within complex social and professional environments. In the workplace, this skill directly influences communication quality, decision-making, leadership effectiveness, and team performance. Rather than operating solely on technical expertise or logic, emotionally intelligent individuals integrate awareness, empathy, and self-regulation into their professional behavior. At a personal level, emotional intelligence supports self-management by helping individuals recognize early signs of stress, frustration, or disengagement. These emotional signals often appear as physical tension, mental fatigue, or shifts in motivation. By learning to identify these cues, individuals can intervene early with strategies such as brief pauses, focused breathing, or cognitive reframing, preventing emotional strain from escalating into burnout or conflict. In leadership and team roles, emotional intelligence strengthens trust and psychological safety. When individuals feel understood and respected, they are more likely to share ideas, ask questions, and collaborate openly. This dynamic enhances problem-solving and innovation while reducing misunderstandings and defensiveness. Emotional intelligence, in this sense, becomes a foundation for healthy workplace culture rather than merely an individual trait. Cognitive behavioral strategies play a key role in developing emotional intelligence. By identifying automatic interpretations, such as assuming negative intent in a colleague's feedback, individuals can pause and consider alternative explanations. This mental flexibility reduces emotional reactivity and supports more balanced professional responses. Mindfulness practices reinforce this process by increasing awareness of emotional states in real time. A brief moment of attention before responding to an email, entering a meeting, or addressing a concern can significantly change the tone and outcome of an interaction. These small pauses cultivate emotional presence and intentional communication. Digital tools and self-management platforms can support the consistent development of emotional intelligence by offering emotional check-ins, guided reflection, and stress regulation exercises. These resources help individuals integrate emotional awareness into daily professional routines rather than treating it as a separate or occasional practice. Developing emotional intelligence in the workplace is not about eliminating emotional responses. It is about learning to work with emotions constructively, using them as sources of information that guide thoughtful action, ethical decision-making, and meaningful professional relationships. Building empathy and communication skills. Empathy and communication are central components of emotional intelligence, shaping how individuals connect, collaborate, and resolve challenges in professional settings. Empathy involves understanding another person's perspective and emotional experience, even when it differs from one's own. Communication translates that understanding into clear, respectful, and purposeful interaction. A practical foundation for empathy begins with attentive presence. This means giving full attention during conversations rather than dividing focus between listening and preparing a response. Observing tone, pace of speech, and nonverbal cues provides insight into underlying emotions and unspoken concerns. This level of attention often prevents misunderstandings before they develop into conflict. Mindful communication strengthens this skill by encouraging intentional pauses. Before responding, individuals can briefly ask themselves, what is the other person expressing beyond their words? What is my emotional reaction, and how might it influence my response? What outcome do I want this interaction to support? This reflective process promotes clarity, reduces defensiveness, and supports constructive dialogue. Cognitive behavioral techniques enhance communication by addressing internal barriers such as assumptions, rigid expectations, or fear of being misunderstood. By challenging thoughts like they are criticizing me or this conversation will not go well, individuals create space for more open and flexible engagement. This mental shift often leads to calmer, more collaborative exchanges. Journaling can support the development of empathy and communication by providing a space to reflect on challenging interactions. Writing about what was said, how it was interpreted, and how it could be approached differently in the future builds emotional insight and communication awareness over time. Creative expression can also serve as a tool for emotional processing, especially for individuals who find it difficult to articulate feelings verbally. Visual or movement-based activities can help release emotional tension and clarify internal experiences, which then supports clearer communication in professional contexts. For emerging professionals and young adults, structured resilience training that includes empathy and communication exercises helps establish strong interpersonal habits early. These skills foster confidence, adaptability, and healthy relationship building across academic, professional, and social environments. Strategies for enhancing workplace relationships. Strong workplace relationships are built through consistent, intentional behaviors rather than isolated actions. One of the most effective strategies is active listening, which involves demonstrating genuine interest in others' perspectives through verbal acknowledgement, clarifying questions, and reflective summaries. This approach signals respect and builds mutual trust, creating a foundation for open communication. Another key strategy is emotional transparency with boundaries. This means expressing concerns or needs clearly without assigning blame or becoming emotionally reactive. Statements that focus on personal experience, such as, "I find it helpful when expectations are clarified early," promote understanding and reduce defensiveness. Mindfulness supports relationship building by helping individuals manage emotional tone during interactions. Taking a brief pause before responding in emotionally charged situations can prevent escalation and maintain professionalism. Over time, this habit strengthens emotional stability and reinforces a culture of respectful communication. Regular self-reflection enhances relational awareness. Journaling about workplace interactions can help individuals identify patterns and how they respond to authority, feedback, or collaboration. Recognizing these patterns allows for intentional adjustment, such as practicing assertiveness or increasing openness to differing viewpoints. Technology can serve as a supportive resource for maintaining emotional balance at work. Stress management tools, guided breathing exercises, and reflection prompts can be integrated into the workday to reinforce emotional regulation and resilience. For individuals balancing professional responsibilities with family or caregiving roles, these strategies become especially valuable. Maintaining emotional clarity at work reduces the likelihood of transferring stress between environments, supporting healthier boundaries and sustained well-being. Enhancing workplace relationships is an ongoing process of awareness, communication, and adaptation. By applying emotional intelligence consistently, individuals create professional environments characterized by trust, cooperation, and shared purpose, conditions that support both personal satisfaction and organizational success. Chapter 5: Stress Management for Parents. Understanding parental stress. Parental stress emerges from the ongoing responsibility of caring for children while managing work, relationships, finances, and personal well-being. It is not a single experience, but a combination of emotional, mental, and physical demands that accumulate over time. For independent-minded parents, this pressure can be intensified by high personal standards and a strong desire to meet both family needs and individual goals. Understanding how stress develops is the first step toward managing it effectively. Stress often begins with subtle signals such as fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating, or a sense of emotional distance. When these signs go unnoticed, they can evolve into chronic tension, anxiety, or feelings of inadequacy. Recognizing these early indicators allows parents to intervene before stress begins to shape daily interactions and decision-making. A common source of parental stress is the internal belief that one must consistently perform at a high level across all roles. This expectation can create a cycle of self-criticism and emotional strain. Cognitive behavioral strategies help parents examine these beliefs and replace rigid standards with more realistic, compassionate perspectives. By reframing thoughts such as, "I must handle everything perfectly," into, "I'm doing my best with the resources I have," parents reduce emotional pressure and increase resilience. Mindfulness practices provide a practical method for regulating emotional responses in real time. Brief moments of focused breathing, body awareness, or intentional pauses can restore emotional balance during demanding situations. These practices help parents respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, supporting calmer communication and more supportive interactions with their children. Emotional intelligence strengthens this process by increasing awareness of both personal emotions and the emotional needs of children and partners. When parents understand their own emotional patterns, they are better equipped to guide children through emotional experiences with empathy and clarity. This mutual awareness fosters a home environment built on understanding rather than conflict. Reflective practices such as journaling deepen this awareness by offering a space to process daily experiences, challenges, and emotional responses. Writing allows parents to identify recurring stressors, explore personal reactions, and develop practical strategies for future situations. Creative outlets, including drawing, music, or movement-based activities, offer additional pathways for emotional expression. These practices provide nonverbal methods for releasing tension and restoring emotional energy, supporting both personal well-being and family harmony. Effective coping strategies. Coping strategies become most effective when they are simple, consistent, and adaptable to the realities of daily life. Rather than relying on a single technique, parents benefit from building a flexible system of practices that address emotional, cognitive, and physical dimensions of stress. Mindfulness and meditation form a strong foundation within this system. Short, regular sessions, such as a few minutes of focused breathing in the morning or a brief body scan before bedtime, can significantly reduce emotional reactivity. These practices calm the nervous system, improve attention, and create mental space for thoughtful decision-making. Cognitive behavioral techniques add a structured approach to managing stress-related thinking. Parents can use a basic three-step method. Notice the thought. Identify the specific thought associated with stress or frustration. Evaluate its accuracy. Ask whether the thought reflects the full reality of the situation. Reframe constructively. Replace it with a balanced, supportive perspective. This approach helps prevent negative thinking from shaping emotional responses and behavior. Journaling strengthens coping by turning emotional experiences into learning opportunities. Writing about challenging moments, emotional reactions, and alternative responses encourages problem-solving and emotional insight. Over time, this practice builds confidence in managing future stressors. Creative expression serves as an emotional release that complements cognitive strategies. Activities such as painting, writing, or music provide a way to process feelings that may be difficult to express verbally. For parents, involving children in creative activities can also model healthy emotional regulation and strengthen family connections. Digital tools can support consistency by offering reminders, guided practices, and emotional tracking features. These resources make it easier to maintain self-management habits, even in busy schedules, reinforcing resilience and emotional balance. For teens and young adults within the family, teaching these coping strategies supports emotional independence. Guided visualization, relaxation exercises, and basic cognitive techniques help them navigate academic, social, and personal challenges with greater confidence and adaptability. Creating a supportive environment for yourself and your children. A supportive home environment begins with emotional awareness and intentional communication. Parents set the emotional tone of the household through how they manage stress, express feelings, and respond to challenges. By modeling emotional regulation, parents demonstrate that emotions can be acknowledged and managed constructively rather than avoided or suppressed. Mindfulness practices can be shared as family routines. Simple activities, such as taking a few deep breaths together before meals or spending a quiet moment reflecting at the end of the day, encourage collective emotional awareness. These shared practices strengthen connection and normalize open discussion about feelings. Teaching cognitive behavioral skills to children helps them develop early self-management abilities. Parents can guide children in identifying unhelpful thoughts and exploring alternative perspectives. For example, reframing "I can't do this" into "I can try a different way" builds resilience and confidence. Open communication creates psychological safety within the family. Encouraging children to express their thoughts and emotions without fear of judgment fosters trust and emotional literacy. Active listening, validation, and calm responses reinforce the message that emotions are welcome and manageable. Digital tools can be used collaboratively to support emotional development. Family-friendly journaling apps, relaxation guides, or mindfulness platforms can turn emotional regulation into a shared learning experience. When children participate in these practices, they gain practical skills for managing stress and navigating social environments. By cultivating a supportive environment grounded in awareness, empathy, and intentional action, parents create a foundation for long-term emotional well-being. This environment not only helps families manage immediate challenges, but also equips children with the emotional intelligence and resilience needed to thrive in adulthood. Chapter 6: Journaling for Emotional Processing. Benefits of journaling. Journaling is a structured method for emotional processing that allows individuals to move beyond simply venting and into meaningful self-analysis. At its core, journaling creates a private cognitive workspace where thoughts, emotions, and experiences can be examined with clarity and intention. By externalizing internal experiences onto the page, individuals reduce the mental load of holding unprocessed emotions, making it easier to regulate stress responses and engage in thoughtful decision-making. One of the most significant benefits of journaling is its role in increasing emotional awareness. When individuals consistently record their emotional states, they begin to recognize patterns in mood, behavior, and triggers. For example, a person may notice that feelings of frustration often follow specific work interactions or periods of fatigue. This type of insight allows individuals to shift from reactive behavior to proactive planning, which is a foundational skill in emotional regulation and self-management. Journaling also supports mindfulness by encouraging individuals to slow down and observe their internal experiences in real time. Rather than rushing through the day on autopilot, the act of writing invites reflection on what was felt, why it was felt, and how it was handled. This reflective process strengthens the connection between awareness and action, helping individuals align their responses with their personal values and long-term goals. From a cognitive behavioral perspective, journaling serves as a practical tool for identifying distorted or unhelpful thought patterns. Writing down automatic thoughts such as self-criticism, catastrophizing, or rigid expectations makes them easier to examine objectively. Once visible, these thoughts can be evaluated for accuracy and replaced with more balanced, constructive interpretations. Over time, this practice builds cognitive flexibility and emotional resilience. For parents and professionals alike, journaling provides a reliable method for stress management. It offers a consistent, low-cost, and accessible way to decompress and process emotionally demanding experiences. By creating a routine of reflection, individuals develop a habit of emotional maintenance that supports long-term well-being, improved communication, and healthier interpersonal relationships. Techniques for effective journaling. Effective journaling is most impactful when it follows a clear structure rather than an unplanned stream of writing. One foundational method is the three-step reflection framework: describe, analyze, and respond. In the first step, individuals describe an event or emotional experience in neutral, factual terms. In the second step, they analyze their emotional reactions, thoughts, and assumptions. In the final step, they respond by identifying what they learned and how they might approach a similar situation differently in the future. This framework transforms journaling into a guided process for emotional growth. Free writing remains a valuable technique when used with intention. Setting a timer for 5 to 10 minutes and writing continuously helps bypass mental filters and surface underlying emotions. This approach is particularly useful during periods of emotional intensity, as it allows individuals to release thoughts that may otherwise remain unspoken. Reviewing these entries later can reveal recurring themes that warrant deeper exploration. Prompt-based journaling offers a more focused and goal-oriented approach. Examples of effective prompts include: what emotion showed up most strongly today, and what triggered it? What assumption did I make in a challenging situation, and how else could I interpret it? What action today aligned with my values, and which one did not? These types of questions guide individuals toward meaningful self-inquiry rather than surface-level reflection. Bullet journaling integrates emotional awareness with daily organization. By pairing mood tracking with task lists and schedules, individuals can observe how emotional states influence productivity, motivation, and communication. Over time, this method helps identify patterns such as increased stress during overcommit periods or improved mood following physical activity or rest. This data-driven approach to emotional self-management supports more informed lifestyle adjustments. Digital journaling tools can further enhance consistency and engagement. Many platforms offer features such as mood charts, guided exercises, and reminders, which help individuals maintain a regular practice. These tools can also store entries securely, allowing for long-term review and progress tracking. When used thoughtfully, technology becomes a supportive companion rather than a distraction in the emotional regulation process. Using journaling for self-reflection. Self-reflection through journaling becomes most effective when it moves beyond recounting events and focuses on understanding personal meaning. This involves examining not only what happened, but why it mattered and how it shaped emotional responses. By consistently asking reflective questions, individuals develop a deeper sense of self-awareness and personal accountability. A mindfulness-based approach to journaling encourages individuals to observe their thoughts without immediate judgment. Instead of labeling emotions as good or bad, the focus shifts to understanding their purpose and origin. For example, feelings of anger may signal unmet boundaries, while anxiety may point to uncertainty or lack of preparation. This perspective helps individuals respond to emotions as sources of information rather than problems to suppress. Integrating cognitive behavioral strategies into journaling strengthens its role as a tool for emotional change. One effective method is the thought record technique, which involves writing down a situation, the automatic thought it triggered, the emotional response, and an alternative, more balanced thought. This structured process trains individuals to challenge internal narratives that contribute to stress, conflict, or self-doubt. For parents, journaling can serve as both a personal support system and a model for healthy emotional expression. Reflecting on daily parenting challenges allows for the identification of patterns in stress, communication, and expectations. This awareness can lead to practical adjustments, such as setting clearer boundaries, seeking additional support, or adopting more flexible routines. When children observe caregivers engaging in reflective practices, they learn that emotional processing is a normal and constructive part of life. Digital platforms can expand the self-reflection process by offering guided programs and progress tracking. Features such as weekly summaries or emotional trend reports provide a broader perspective on growth over time. This long-term view reinforces motivation and highlights the cumulative impact of small, consistent efforts. Through intentional journaling, individuals develop a stronger connection between emotional awareness, thoughtful action, and personal development. Over time, this practice becomes not just a habit but a foundational skill for empowered self-management, healthier relationships, and sustained emotional resilience. Chapter 7: Art Therapy and Emotional Expression. Understanding art therapy. Art therapy is a structured, evidence-informed approach to emotional processing that uses creative expression as a pathway to self-awareness, regulation, and psychological insight. Rather than focusing on artistic skill or aesthetic outcomes, this method emphasizes the meaning behind what is created. Colors, shapes, textures, and forms become symbolic language through which individuals can explore internal experiences that may be difficult to articulate verbally. At a cognitive and emotional level, art therapy supports regulation by engaging both analytical and sensory systems. The act of creating activates attention, motor coordination, and emotional awareness simultaneously, helping to shift individuals out of heightened stress responses and into a more grounded, reflective state. This neurological engagement can be especially helpful during periods of emotional overload, when verbal processing feels limited or inaccessible. For independent-minded individuals, art therapy offers a self-directed and adaptable form of emotional exploration. It allows participants to set their own pace, choose their preferred medium, and define personal meaning within their work. This autonomy fosters a sense of agency, which is a key factor in building emotional resilience and self-management skills. Mindfulness is naturally embedded in the creative process. When individuals focus on the physical sensations of drawing, painting, or shaping materials, their attention is drawn into the present moment. This sensory awareness can reduce rumination and anxiety by anchoring the mind to what is happening now, rather than what has already occurred or what may happen in the future. Art therapy also enhances interpersonal understanding and communication. By reflecting on their creations, individuals often gain clarity about emotional themes such as conflict, aspiration, fear, or connection. These insights can then be translated into verbal conversations, improving emotional expression in personal relationships and professional environments. Techniques for emotional expression through art. One foundational method in art therapy is the emotion-to-image technique. This approach begins with identifying a dominant emotion, such as stress, sadness, or motivation, and representing it visually without concern for realism or quality. Individuals might use abstract shapes, color intensity, or line pressure to convey emotional energy. The goal is not to draw the feeling correctly, but to externalize it in a way that can be observed and reflected upon. Another effective strategy is sequential art reflection, which involves creating a series of images over time to document emotional shifts. For example, individuals may create one piece at the beginning of a stressful week and another at the end. Comparing these works can reveal changes in emotional tone, self-perception, or coping effectiveness. This technique helps build awareness of progress and reinforces the connection between effort and emotional outcomes. Mindfulness can be intentionally integrated through sensory-focused creation. In this method, individuals choose a medium, such as clay, charcoal, or watercolor, and direct their attention to physical sensations, the texture of the material, the movement of the hand, and the visual changes on the page. This practice strengthens present moment awareness and can reduce physiological stress responses. Cognitive behavioral strategies can be combined with art through visual thought mapping. Individuals draw a central symbol representing a challenging situation and surround it with images or words that reflect automatic thoughts, emotional reactions, and alternative perspectives. This visual layout makes abstract cognitive patterns tangible, helping individuals recognize unhelpful assumptions and explore more balanced interpretations. For families, collaborative art projects offer a powerful tool for emotional connection. Activities such as shared murals or joint storytelling through drawings allow both parents and children to express emotions in a non-confrontational way. This shared process encourages empathy, improves communication, and normalizes emotional expression as part of everyday life. Digital platforms expand these techniques by offering tools for layered drawing, animation, and multimedia expression. Features such as color palettes, templates, and guided exercises make creative exploration accessible to individuals who may feel uncertain about traditional art methods. Integrating art therapy into daily life. Sustainable emotional growth occurs when creative practices are woven into regular routines rather than reserved for moments of crisis. One effective approach is the micro-practice model, which involves brief, consistent creative sessions lasting 5 to 10 minutes. These short periods lower the barrier to participation while maintaining the benefits of emotional expression and reflection. Creating a designated creative space, whether a small desk, a digital folder, or a portable art kit, reinforces the habit of emotional check-ins. This space becomes a visual reminder that emotional well-being is an ongoing priority, not an afterthought. Art therapy can be paired with structured reflection to deepen its impact. After completing a piece, individuals can ask guiding questions such as, what emotion stands out most in this image? What part of this work feels most significant to me? How does this reflect my current challenges or goals? Writing brief responses to these prompts connects creative insight with conscious self-management. In parenting contexts, routine creative sessions can become a shared emotional ritual. Weekly art time provides a predictable opportunity for children to express feelings about school, friendships, or family dynamics. Parents can use these moments to model curiosity and emotional openness, reinforcing a supportive environment for emotional development. Digital tools can support consistency through reminders, guided activities, and progress tracking. Some platforms offer visual journals that allow individuals to store and revisit their creations over time, creating a personal archive of emotional growth. Reviewing past work can be a powerful motivator, highlighting resilience and the capacity for change. By integrating art therapy into daily life, individuals transform creativity into a practical system for emotional regulation, self-awareness, and personal development. Over time, this practice becomes more than an expressive outlet. It evolves into a reliable method for navigating challenges, strengthening relationships, and sustaining emotional balance. NB Sustained Emotional Resilience. Chapter 8: Digital Tools and Apps for Self-Management. Overview of available tools. Digital tools have reshaped how individuals approach emotional regulation, learning, and personal growth. Rather than serving as simple reminders or trackers, modern self-management platforms function as integrated systems that support awareness, reflection, and behavioral change. These tools allow individuals to move from passive consumption of information to active participation in their own development. At the foundation are mindfulness and meditation platforms, which provide structured pathways for cultivating present moment awareness. Many include guided sessions, breathing exercises, and short reset practices designed for use during stressful moments. These features help individuals interrupt automatic stress responses and return to a calmer, more focused state of mind. Another category includes cognitive behavioral and emotional skills applications. These tools guide users through identifying thought patterns, emotional triggers, and habitual reactions. Interactive prompts and reflective exercises encourage individuals to test alternative interpretations and practice healthier responses. Over time, this process strengthens emotional intelligence and improves communication in both personal and professional contexts. Journaling and reflection platforms provide digital spaces for emotional processing and self-observation. These tools often include structured prompts, mood tracking, and progress summaries that make internal experiences more visible and measurable. By reviewing past entries, individuals can recognize patterns in stress, motivation, and emotional recovery, reinforcing a sense of growth and self-efficacy. Creative expression is supported through digital art and visualization tools. These platforms allow individuals to draw, collage, or design visual representations of their emotional states and personal goals. When paired with reflection features, creative tools become a bridge between emotional expression and practical self-management. Finally, resilience and skills-based learning systems offer short lessons, interactive scenarios, and habit-building frameworks. These tools focus on strengthening coping strategies, emotional awareness, and interpersonal effectiveness, making them particularly useful for workplace development, parenting support, and youth skill building. Selecting the right apps for your needs. Choosing the right digital tools begins with a clear understanding of personal priorities. One effective method is the goal mapping framework, which categorizes needs into three areas: awareness, regulation, and growth. Awareness tools help users recognize emotions and patterns. Regulation tools provide strategies for calming, reframing, and stabilizing. Growth tools focus on building long-term habits, skills, and resilience. Evaluating apps through this lens ensures that technology supports intentional development rather than becoming a source of distraction. Functionality is another critical factor. Individuals should look for features that align with how they naturally engage. Some prefer short, guided exercises, while others benefit from open-ended journaling or structured learning modules. Apps that offer customization, such as adjustable session lengths, flexible reminders, or personalized prompts, tend to support long-term consistency. Design and accessibility also influence effectiveness. A simple, intuitive interface reduces friction and increases the likelihood of regular use. Visual clarity, calm color schemes, and straightforward navigation can subtly reinforce emotional regulation by creating a sense of ease rather than cognitive overload. Community and support features may add value for those who benefit from shared learning. Discussion spaces, group challenges, or peer reflection prompts can foster accountability and normalize emotional growth as a collective process rather than a solitary task. Regular review is essential. A monthly impact check, briefly reflecting on what has improved, what feels stagnant, and what no longer serves a purpose, keeps technology aligned with evolving personal goals. This practice reinforces the idea that tools exist to support growth, not define it. Using technology to enhance self-management. Effective use of digital tools depends on integration rather than reliance. A practical model is the three-point integration system, which connects technology to daily life in short, meaningful moments. The first point is morning orientation. A brief check-in using a mindfulness app or reflective prompt helps set emotional intention for the day. This can clarify priorities, identify potential stressors, and reinforce a sense of purpose before responsibilities begin. The second point is midday regulation. Short breathing exercises, visual grounding tools, or cognitive reframing prompts can be used during moments of tension. These interventions help prevent emotional buildup and support thoughtful responses in challenging interactions. The third point is evening reflection. Journaling platforms or creative tools provide space to process the day's experiences. Reflecting on emotional patterns, successes, and challenges strengthens self-awareness and supports long-term emotional intelligence. In professional settings, digital learning platforms can reinforce communication and leadership skills through scenario-based training and emotional awareness exercises. This supports healthier team dynamics and more effective conflict navigation. For parents, technology can serve as a shared resource rather than an individual tool. Family mindfulness sessions, emotion tracking activities, or creative apps can turn self-management into a collective practice that models emotional awareness and resilience for children. Digital art, guided visualization, and relaxation platforms offer additional pathways for emotional expression. These tools allow individuals to explore internal experiences creatively while reinforcing calm, focus, and emotional balance. When used intentionally, technology becomes a structured companion to personal development. It supports emotional regulation, strengthens self-awareness, and reinforces the daily habits that lead to empowered self-management. Over time, these tools help transform emotional growth from an occasional effort into a sustainable way of living. Chapter 9: Resilience Training for Teens and Young Adults. The importance of resilience. Resilience is more than the ability to recover from difficulty. It is the capacity to adapt, learn, and grow through challenge. For teens and young adults, this skill forms the foundation of emotional regulation, decision-making, and long-term self-management. During developmental stages marked by rapid change, social pressure, and increasing responsibility, resilience helps individuals maintain perspective and respond with intention rather than reaction. From a psychological perspective, resilience operates across three interrelated domains: emotional stability, cognitive flexibility, and behavioral persistence. Emotional stability allows individuals to recognize and regulate strong feelings without becoming overwhelmed. Cognitive flexibility supports the ability to consider multiple interpretations of a situation rather than defaulting to negative assumptions. Behavioral persistence encourages consistent effort, even when progress feels slow or uncertain. Mindfulness and meditation practices strengthen these domains by training attention and emotional awareness. Regular mindfulness exercises improve the ability to observe internal experiences without immediate judgment, creating a pause between stimulus and response. This pause becomes a powerful tool for emotional regulation, allowing individuals to choose how they respond rather than reacting automatically. Cognitive behavioral strategies further enhance resilience by helping individuals examine the relationship between thoughts, emotions, and actions. By identifying habitual thinking patterns and testing them against evidence and alternative viewpoints, young people learn to develop more balanced interpretations of their experiences. This process supports confidence, problem solving, and healthier communication in academic, social, and family environments. For parents and mentors, modeling resilience is a central teaching method. When adults demonstrate calm problem solving, emotional expression, and recovery from setbacks, they provide a living example of how resilience functions in daily life. Practices such as reflective journaling, creative expression, and open emotional dialogue reinforce this learning and help young individuals internalize these skills. Digital tools and guided learning platforms can also support resilience development by offering structured exercises in emotional awareness, relaxation techniques, and goal setting. These resources allow teens and young adults to practice resilience-building strategies independently, reinforcing self-efficacy and personal responsibility for emotional well-being. Building coping skills. Coping skills form the practical layer of resilience. They translate awareness and understanding into effective action during moments of stress, conflict, or uncertainty. A useful framework for building these skills is the Recognize, Regulate, Respond model. The first step, Recognize, involves identifying emotional and physical signals of stress. This may include changes in breathing, muscle tension, or internal dialogue. Developing this awareness helps individuals notice challenges early, before emotional intensity escalates. The second step, Regulate, focuses on stabilizing the nervous system. Techniques such as paced breathing, grounding exercises, and brief mindfulness practices help reduce physiological arousal. These methods restore a sense of balance and make thoughtful decision-making more accessible. The final step, Respond, emphasizes intentional action. Rather than avoiding challenges or reacting impulsively, individuals are encouraged to choose responses aligned with their values and long-term goals. This may involve setting boundaries, seeking support, or breaking large tasks into manageable steps. Cognitive behavioral techniques support this process by helping individuals challenge unhelpful interpretations of events. For example, reframing a mistake as a learning opportunity rather than a personal failure can reduce emotional distress and increase motivation. Over time, this approach strengthens emotional intelligence and improves communication, particularly in group and workplace settings. For families, integrating coping strategies into daily routines can create a shared emotional language. Practices such as short reflection sessions, creative activities, or family journaling encourage open discussion about emotions and problem solving. These habits promote emotional safety and reinforce the idea that challenges can be addressed collaboratively. Digital platforms can reinforce coping skill development through reminders, interactive exercises, and progress tracking. These tools help individuals maintain consistency and reflect on how their emotional responses evolve over time, strengthening both awareness and confidence. Programs and resources for developing resilience. Resilience development is most effective when supported by structured learning environments that combine education, practice, and reflection. Programs designed for teens and young adults often focus on building emotional awareness, communication skills, and adaptive thinking patterns. Mindfulness-based programs introduce practices such as body awareness, attention training, and guided relaxation. These techniques help participants develop focus and emotional balance, which are essential for managing academic pressure, social relationships, and life transitions. Cognitive and emotional skills workshops emphasize problem solving, perspective taking, and emotional expression. Participants learn how to recognize emotional triggers, articulate their needs, and engage in constructive dialogue. These skills are particularly valuable in group environments where collaboration and conflict resolution are necessary. In educational and workplace contexts, emotional intelligence training programs support leadership development and interpersonal effectiveness. These programs often include role-playing scenarios, reflective exercises, and feedback sessions that help individuals understand how their emotional responses influence others. Digital learning platforms expand access to these resources by offering flexible, self-paced modules. Features such as guided journaling, interactive lessons, and creative expression tools allow individuals to personalize their learning experience and revisit key concepts as needed. Resilience initiatives for teens and young adults often include mentorship components that encourage connection with supportive adults or peers. These relationships provide encouragement, accountability, and perspective, reinforcing the idea that resilience is not only an individual skill, but also a shared social resource. By engaging with a combination of structured programs, daily practices, and supportive relationships, young individuals develop the emotional awareness and adaptive skills necessary to navigate complexity with confidence. This integrated approach transforms resilience from a concept into a lived experience, shaping healthier relationships, stronger communication, and a more empowered sense of self. Chapter 10: Emotional Regulation in Relationships. The role of communication. Effective communication is a cornerstone of emotional regulation and self-management. Expressing thoughts and feelings clearly allows individuals not only to understand themselves better, but also to connect with others on a deeper level. For independent-minded individuals, articulating needs, setting boundaries, and engaging in thoughtful dialogue enhances emotional intelligence, resulting in healthier, more productive interactions both personally and professionally. Mindful communication elevates this process by encouraging individuals to listen actively and respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. This approach fosters empathy and reduces misunderstandings, especially in high-stress environments such as workplaces or family settings. Parents who model mindful communication demonstrate to their children how to navigate emotions constructively, reinforcing emotional regulation across generations. Cognitive behavioral strategies further strengthen communication by helping individuals identify and challenge negative thought patterns that can interfere with dialogue. For example, reframing assumptions such as "they're criticizing me" into "they may have a different perspective" allows for calmer, solution-focused conversations. This mental shift supports more effective conflict resolution and self-management in emotionally charged situations. Art therapy offers a complementary, nonverbal avenue for emotional expression. Through painting, drawing, or other creative practices, individuals can process and externalize complex feelings. These insights can later inform verbal communication, enriching conversations and promoting mutual understanding in relationships. Digital tools and self-management apps enhance communication by providing journaling prompts, guided reflection exercises, and visualization techniques. These resources help users clarify emotions before engaging with others, enabling more constructive and emotionally balanced interactions. Strategies for managing emotions in relationships. Emotions heavily influence the quality of our relationships, affecting how we communicate, respond, and connect. Independent-minded individuals often experience intense emotional responses due to their strong sense of self. Learning to regulate these responses is critical for building healthier, more harmonious connections. Mindfulness practices serve as an effective foundation. Techniques such as meditation, focused breathing, and body scans create a pause between emotional reaction and behavioral response. This pause allows for deliberate, thoughtful communication and helps individuals approach conflicts or misunderstandings with greater clarity and patience. Cognitive behavioral approaches further support emotional regulation. By analyzing patterns of thought that may distort perception, like assuming negative intent, individuals can reframe their thinking to consider alternative perspectives. This practice fosters empathy and reduces emotional escalation in relationships. Journaling is another essential strategy. Writing about feelings allows individuals to process emotions privately, gain insight into triggers, and identify recurring patterns. These reflections can then inform more conscious, intentional interactions with partners, friends, or colleagues. Digital apps designed for emotional regulation complement these strategies by offering reminders, guided exercises, and visualizations to practice calming and reflective techniques. They serve as accessible tools for managing emotions, particularly during periods of stress or interpersonal tension. Navigating conflict and enhancing connection. Conflict is a natural part of relationships, but when approached thoughtfully, it can become an opportunity for growth and deeper connection rather than a source of stress. Mindfulness and meditation techniques equip individuals to approach conflict with composure. Deep breathing, reflective meditation, and moment-to-moment awareness allow people to respond instead of react, fostering empathy and preventing escalation. Cognitive reframing encourages individuals to see conflict as an opportunity to understand differing perspectives. Instead of perceiving disagreements as personal attacks, reframing them as collaborative problem-solving experiences strengthens emotional intelligence and relational resilience. Parents and caregivers can integrate journaling into their conflict management practices, using reflection to explore their reactions, identify triggers, and develop strategies for calmer interactions. Modeling this behavior teaches children constructive ways to navigate disagreement, building a foundation for emotionally intelligent relationships. Digital tools and apps provide additional support by offering guided visualizations, relaxation exercises, and prompts for reflection. These resources help individuals regulate stress and maintain clarity during challenging interactions, reinforcing the skills necessary for long-term emotional management. By integrating mindfulness, cognitive behavioral techniques, journaling, and digital resources, individuals can cultivate resilience, self-awareness, and empathy, enabling healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Emotional regulation in relationships not only enhances personal well-being but also strengthens connections, creating a harmonious environment both at home and in the workplace. Chapter 11: Guided Visualization and Relaxation Techniques. The science behind visualization. Visualization is a powerful cognitive strategy that taps into the brain's ability to create mental images. Often paired with mindfulness and meditation practices, visualization allows individuals to mentally rehearse experiences and outcomes. By engaging in this technique, independent-minded individuals can enhance emotional regulation, strengthen self-management, and reinforce positive behavioral patterns. The science behind visualization lies in the brain's responsiveness to imagery. Studies show that imagining an event activates the same neural pathways as actually experiencing it. This means that visualizing a positive outcome can train the brain to respond calmly and confidently, reducing stress and anxiety. Cognitive behavioral approaches leverage this principle, helping individuals replace negative thought patterns with constructive, solution-focused mental images. Visualization is also closely tied to emotional expression, as practiced in art therapy and journaling. By imagining emotions, scenarios, or goals, individuals can gain clarity and articulate feelings more effectively, fostering better communication and relational skills. For teens and young adults, visualization creates a safe space for experimenting with problem-solving and coping strategies, supporting resilience and emotional growth. Digital tools and apps amplify the benefits of visualization by providing guided exercises for stress relief, anxiety reduction, or performance enhancement. These resources allow users to engage in visualization on demand, making the practice accessible, structured, and personalized to individual needs. Ultimately, visualization equips independent thinkers with a mental roadmap, helping them cultivate resilience, emotional intelligence, and self-regulation in both personal and professional life. Techniques for guided visualization. Guided visualization uses mental imagery to promote relaxation, emotional clarity, and intentional action. By engaging the senses and focusing on the present moment, This practice can help manage stress and strengthen self-awareness. Create a mental sanctuary. Imagine a safe, calming space, a beach, forest, or quiet room. Engage your senses. Visualize colors, hear ambient sounds, feel textures, and notice scents. Immerse yourself fully to evoke relaxation and emotional balance. Visualize desired outcomes. Picture yourself navigating challenging situations successfully, whether managing stress, resolving conflict, or communicating effectively. Imagine positive behaviors and solutions, reinforcing confidence and preparedness. This rehearsal strengthens emotional intelligence by creating a mental blueprint for constructive responses. Integrate mindfulness. Combine visualization with deep breathing and present moment awareness. Focus on sensations, thoughts, and feelings without judgment. This synergy enhances relaxation, emotional regulation, and clarity of thought. Use digital tools. Guided visualization apps can structure sessions, provide reminders, and offer new techniques. Technology makes visualization accessible anytime, especially helpful for busy schedules or family-focused routines. Incorporating relaxation into daily life. Intentional relaxation is essential for maintaining emotional well-being and managing stress. For independent-minded individuals juggling multiple responsibilities, setting aside time for relaxation provides a mental reset, fostering clarity, resilience, and emotional regulation. Mindfulness and meditation. Integrate short breathing exercises or meditations into daily routines. Focus on observing thoughts and feelings, cultivating awareness and calm. Mindfulness improves responses to workplace stress, family dynamics, and interpersonal challenges. Family integration. Parents can practice guided visualization or art therapy with children. Shared relaxation routines model healthy emotional regulation and strengthen emotional bonds. Creating a calm family environment supports resilience in children and adults alike. Digital tools. Apps can provide reminders, guided exercises, and resources for stress management. Technology offers convenience and accessibility, helping maintain consistency without adding pressure. Journaling for reflection. Use writing to process emotions and reflect on daily experiences. Journaling complements relaxation practices by providing insights into triggers, emotional patterns, and coping strategies. Combined with mindfulness and visualization, journaling supports deeper emotional awareness and intentional self-management. Step-by-step guide to emotional regulation and self-management. This guide distills key strategies from the book into actionable steps. Try them out, adapting each to your unique preferences and lifestyle. Step 1. Pause and breathe. Take 3 to 5 slow, deep breaths. Focus on the sensation of inhaling and exhaling. This creates a pause between stimulus and response, allowing for thoughtful action. Step 2. Name the emotion. Identify what you feel specifically: frustrated, anxious, overwhelmed. Rate intensity on a scale of 1 to 10. Naming emotions reduces their unconscious influence and clarifies the next steps. Step 3. Check the story you're telling yourself. Ask, what am I telling myself about this situation? Notice distorted or amplifying thoughts. Reframe the narrative to focus on facts and actionable solutions. Step 4. Identify the need behind the emotion. Emotions signal underlying needs. Frustration equals need for clarity. Sadness equals need for connection. Articulate the need. I need more time to complete this task. Understanding need supports intentional responses rather than reactive ones. Step 5. Choose a response aligned with your values. Consider actions reflecting your priorities and integrity. Ask, what choice honors my best self? Even small actions, pausing, walking, journaling, promote self-respect and emotional control. Step 6. Move the body. Physical activity releases tension. Stretching, walking, shaking out limbs. Movement reconnects mind and body, aiding mood and energy regulation. Step 7. Practice self-compassion. Acknowledge that emotional ups and downs are human. Speak kindly to yourself. It's okay to feel this way. I'm learning. Compassion reduces emotional intensity and builds resilience over time. Step 8. Reflect and adjust. After the situation passes, reflect on what worked and what didn't. Journaling or mental review reinforces learning and enhances self-awareness. Over time, these steps strengthen emotional regulation making future challenges easier to navigate. Closing reflection. By combining mindfulness, cognitive behavioral techniques, journaling, art therapy, guided visualization, and digital tools, independent-minded individuals can build a comprehensive emotional regulation toolkit. These practices cultivate resilience, enhance self-awareness, and foster intentional living. The journey of self-management is ongoing, but with consistent practice, individuals can navigate life's challenges with confidence, clarity, and emotional balance, creating a foundation for personal growth, fulfilling relationships, and a more meaningful, empowered life. As this journey through emotional regulation and self-management comes to a close, take a moment to pause. Let the tools, insights, and practices you've explored settle, not as rigid instructions to follow perfectly, but as companions to return to whenever life feels overwhelming or uncertain. The techniques shared throughout these chapters were never meant to be mastered in a single moment or completed like a checklist. They are meant to be lived gradually, thoughtfully, and in ways that honor your own rhythm and experiences. Each breath you notice, each emotion you name, each thought you observe and reframe becomes a quiet act of self-leadership. Over time, these small, intentional moments shape something larger, a sense of steadiness, clarity, and trust in your own capacity to navigate life with resilience and emotional intelligence. If there is one message to carry forward, let it be this. You do not need to become someone entirely new to grow. You only need to become more present with who you already are and more mindful of how you respond to yourself and the world. So as you step back into your day and into the world beyond these words, carry with you the awareness, practices, and insights cultivated here.